Hello, my name is Jonathan Clark. Welcome to another one of my Ableton Q&A videos. This time I'm going to talk about how to DJ if you're playing mixed genres. You're not playing just dance music, so you could be playing stuff that's doesn't have a structured 4-on-the-floor beat. So say some classic rock or something like that. Okay. So basically, Ableton is known as being really good software for DJs. But people usually think of it for DJs that play electronic dance music, EDM. And not everybody does that all the time. Now for me, for instance, when I'm playing outside Canada, I'm usually playing one of 4 main genres, which are pretty closely related. I'll be playing house, tech house, techno, or psytrance. But if I'm in Canada, it's probably 50-50. I'll either play one of those types of music, or I could be playing basically top 40 mainstream music. I get a lot of bookings at things like universities for a big dance at a university. And when you've got a crowd like that, it's a very mainstream crowd, and they're going to want to hear a lot of different types of music. So on a night like that, I'll probably go through 4 or 5 different styles of music. I'll start out slow, and I'll be building up the energy levels and tempo throughout the night. But I might be starting out with some classic rock, and then move to some maybe some hip-hop, and then get into more upbeat indie and pop music, say around 90 to 110 beats per minute. And eventually I'll transition into that dance music, the 128 beats per minute stuff that people think of when they think about dance music. But for those first genres, I get tons and tons of questions about from people asking what the easiest way is to warp their classic rock songs, or warp their indie pop songs, whatever, to make them fit into an Ableton set. And the question's actually quite obvious. You don't warp them. You don't have to warp every song that you're playing in Ableton when you're DJing. And I think a lot of people overlook this because it's known as being such a DJ-friendly program for dance music. But let's go to the computer and I'll show you exactly what I mean. Okay? So here we have a set. All of these tracks right now are dance tracks. But let's say that we wanted to, say earlier in the night we wanted to play some music. So I'm going to bring in a couple old classic rock songs. This is from a band, 5440, from out in Vancouver. And they had some big hits a while ago. So let's pretend One Day in Your Life is going to be the very first song that we're going to play. And then Baby Ran is going to be the second song. Okay? Now you notice as I brought these in, each of them is warped and has tons of warp markers. Okay? That's not good. That's, we don't want to warp these. So the first thing I'm going to do, if I'm playing a set where some of the music is not going to be warped, is I'm going to go into Options, Preferences, Record Warp Launch tab, and turn off Auto Warp Long Samples. Now this is an interesting distinction. Okay, so I'm going to take those 2 tracks back out. Now, let's try to bring them in a second time. One Day in Your Life. This time, because my preferences have been set, the track is not warped. Okay? Now what happens if I turn on warp now? There's only a single warp marker at the beginning. Okay, and that's the key distinction. By turning warp on the clip, all you're doing is setting it so you can warp. The preferences choice, auto warp long samples, if you have that turned on, not only does it turn on warp as the clip comes in, Ableton tries to warp the track for you. You do not want Ableton to try and warp the track. Now the reason why I do want warping turned on, even though I'm not going to warp the track, is because this lets me play anywhere in the track. Okay, so you can see that when I clicked, I was able to go to different portions of the song. Now, I may not be ending right on the start of a bar, start of a beat, but that doesn't matter. So if I had warp turned off, see, you lose your grid up here, and if I try to click anywhere, I can't actually start in the middle of the song. The only way I can play that song is to click it up here and start at the beginning. Okay? So I mean, most of the time you are going to be starting at the beginning of songs, so it's not really super critical, but let's say that we have a song that has, you know, like 45 seconds of really quiet introduction, and then boom, it goes into loud music around here. You may not want to play that first 45 seconds to your dance floor. You may want to start somewhere in the middle of the song, okay? So, procedure, boom, turn off your auto warp, and then turn on warp in each track as you bring it in. Let's bring this one in, Baby Ran. This track's interesting because even though this is a classic rock track, it kind of starts with a section that that sounds very beat oriented. It's I think it's actually based on the Amen break. Okay, but basically it's a classic rock song. So if I'm DJing, I do everything the same way that I would with the dance music. It's just that I'm going to start playing this song. You know, let's pretend this plays all the way through and we're getting near the end. I'll wait until this is fading out, and then when I'm ready to play this one, just waiting for it to come around. Come on, come on. Okay, so that was a nice transition. That's sort of like as if you're mixing for radio. Now, one thing I will point out is that when you're playing these tracks that are don't have warp markers attached to them, you should go up to your quantization and make sure it's turned to none, because you'll notice that when I was about to start Baby Ran, I wanted to start at a particular moment once this fade right here had happened in the previous song. Okay, volume down there. If I have the quantization set to 1 bar, like I normally would when I'm playing dance music, then clicking on this won't start it immediately. Okay, so turn this to none. Go through, play all your rock music, play all your hip-hop, play whatever, and then later in the night, once you get to the point where you're ready to move into dance music, all you're going to do is you're going to turn quantization back on. So let's pretend Baby Ran is the last song of conventional unwarped music that you're going to play. So I turn my thing back to 1 bar, and then when I'm ready to play, okay, now you'll notice 2 minor mistakes there. First of all, I should not have played a track in the same channel, a song in the same channel, okay? So with Baby Ran fading out there, if I wanted to play this Aaron Mills track next, I should have moved it over to this side so the 2 tracks overlap. Okay? And the other thing is too that you probably noticed that when I tried to click this to start it, it did pause for a couple seconds before it came around to the exact beginning of a new bar for your quantization. And that, you're never going to know exactly how long it's going to be. That's another good reason why you don't go with a bigger quantization value like 8 bars, because it may be, you know, 5-10 seconds before that track is going to kick in. So hopefully this all makes sense to you. It's very simple, and basically Ableton it's great for playing classic rock sets. Great for every type of DJing. Hip hop, if you're playing hip hop, you might want to quantize that because you can overlap hip hop quite nicely. It's a little bit different mindset because the tempo is so much slower than dance music, but it's very related to dance music. Hip hop and house music kind of came from the same roots. Anyway, hopefully this makes sense to you, and you've just discovered a little bit more power with Ableton that you haven't been able to use before. Thanks for watching.